My name is Claire Elliott. I've always loved YouTube, and I've never really quite hit my sweet spot over here, but I feel like maybe BookTube is the way for me to go, because if you like fantasy, fiction, I think you'd really like me, because my life is like fiction. It is like fantasy. And it's nothing that I can prove because I'm classified. So you could just call it fiction or fantasy, whatever you'd like. So if you enjoy that genre, you'll enjoy this BookTube channel. I've always loved books since I was a very little girl, even before I could read myself. So I always had somebody reading to me, and I feel like this is the way to go. And I'm sure you're wondering about my title. Claire's Breasts. On September 25th, well, let me just start in July. I did my annual mammogram. I've never had an abnormal mammogram in my life. I was 57 at the time. I'm now 58. And for the first time, there was what they call a distortion, which is a change in my mammogram. They couldn't see what it was, but it was a change. And so they confirmed that it was abnormal and that I needed to do a biopsy. We did a biopsy, no cancer cells were found, but as is standard protocol, they removed it by surgery. It was day surgery, and nobody expected any cancer because, no cancer cells showed up in the biopsy. But lo and behold, I have cancer. It was such a shock to everyone. It's stage 1, and most of it is out of my body, because they removed most of the distortion, but not quite all of it. Just like the outer edge is still in there. They didn't think it was cancer, and they weren't removing a cancerous growth. They were just removing the distortion to see what it was. And it is cancer. So the outer edges of stage 1 are still in my right breast. Everything else is stage 0, pre-cancer, -1. There's an in situ situation, which I think could be in both breasts. People say that's not pre-cancer. They used to think of it as pre-cancer. It's not, but it could be. It could develop into cancer at any time. So I'm just cutting both my breasts off. Okay, I know that's pretty radical, but I also happen to be very overweight, and I plan on losing all my weight before age 60. I'm 58 right now, and I turned 59 in October. And I do not believe my breasts will survive with my weight loss. I'm not quite 100 pounds overweight, and I've never been overweight in my life. It just happened as I went through menopause. And I will lose it. I have to, for health reasons, before I'm 60. Anyway, I have a very unusual life, that's just what I'm facing right now. We've had to reschedule the surgery a couple times because of my insurance situation here in America. Not everybody has insurance, and if you don't, you can't pay for anything, and not everybody qualifies for Medicaid. I used to, I don't now, because we've had some deaths in the family, and so we have a little more money in the accounts these days due to some insurance policies, but nothing huge, just a little more than what Medicaid says I should have. So I can't get Medicaid, so I've had to reactivate my Medicare and my Medicare Advantage plan, which I'm very grateful I'm able to do in the United States of America. I disabled it for many years trying to get off disability. But, when you get the diagnosis of breast cancer, you reactivate it, right? At least that's what I chose to do. Medicare is a really good insurance, pays 80%, and a Medicare Advantage plan pays at least 80%. So, really good insurance for the United States of America. Not as good as other countries like the UK that pays 100%, but I guess we pay less taxes than they do. But I just think that everyone has the right to health care, and I shouldn't have had to reschedule my surgery. I still owe them, the hospital, a lot of money as well, because we just went ahead with it without knowing how I was going to pay for it. I'm really glad I didn't hesitate taking this out of my body. The worst of it is out. What remains is just the outer edges, and if anything, less developed, if any cancer is in there. Not that there is, but we got the worst of it. I'm very grateful, and I'm very fortunate. Not everybody is as fortunate. All right, so I decided that I had to start a new YouTube channel about it, and then I added can read, right? Claire's Breasts Can Read, because I feel like reading books are a good starting point for me. I have to do something. I have so many varied interests and things that I do. I have to have some kind of theme, and I think it's books. So this is my newbie tag video, and I'm going to go through the questions. Why did I start this channel? I guess I just answered that, didn't I? I'm trying to find my focus here on YouTube, and it's been really hard for me. I don't know. I'll stop talking about it because I think the other questions address what else I would like to talk about. What can I bring fun and unique to BookTube? I am a very unique person, to say the least. I am like a novel, a living novel. Let me just give you some highlights. I brought a few books here to illustrate my point. Prince Harry is in the news today. Last couple days, he's always in the news. What am I saying? This is my genetic son. I know, you know, that's nothing you've ever heard before. It's not something you would automatically believe, but he is. I can't prove it. He knows it. I know it. Prince William is also my genetic son. Princess Kate, my genetic daughter. Meghan, my genetic daughter. Okay, you fantasy readers, you fiction readers, I think you can at least embrace that, if not necessarily believe it. But hang around for the story, okay? It's a great story. Better than any fiction that anyone could concoct in their mind, okay? And because of the news, and I'm really sorry to hear about Charles. Charles is kind of like my stand-in over there. I know. You fantasy readers, you fiction readers, you know, embrace. And obviously he has cancer too. It runs in the family, guys. Mine, I caught early, stage 1. His, I don't know about that. And I wish him the best. I'm sad if it's anything more serious, and I hope for his complete and total recovery, but he is quite a bit older than me, and this is why he's the stand-in, okay? I have authority over him, okay? I own that the British monarchy, and he is sitting in my throne, but because he's older than me, he's my stand-in, and I wanted him to stand in for me. I know he's waited a long time for this gig, and I have respect for him. I have honor for him, okay? That's just a little introduction to me and the things that I will be discussing on this channel. I didn't think I was going to start out with Spare. I mean, I've started to read it, and it's really good. And I recently went to Utah, and one of my genetic fathers, who is my uncle, I had this book out, Spare, because he was reading it. And he says it's really good. I mean, I don't know how far along he is in it. He didn't really specify. I told him I had started reading it and I really liked it, but I hadn't finished it. I misplaced it for a while. Couldn't find it. I found it recently. But the original book that I was going to read was this one. Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. And I've been meaning to read this for a while. I misplaced this one as well. And I recently found it. Actually, after I found Spare. And this was going to be my first book. But with the news today, I mean, yes, I found out yesterday about everything. I have to do Spare first. And Britney, maybe I'll read both books at the same time. But I have to lead with Spare. So these are the things that are unique that I bring to my channel. And these are just samplings. I mean, my life is unbelievable, better than fiction. Another influence in my life, okay, is the Book of Mormon. That's why I am relocating to Salt Lake City. I mean, not the only reason. I mean, it is Mecca. I lived there with my uncle, end of 97 into mid 98. My uncle and my cousin, and I had as far as I remembered then, I had no relation. I had no history with Mormonism. I've since remembered a whole lot. I was baptized in the church when I was too young. It was before I was supposed to be. In some little town here in Georgia, Daddy, I call him Daddy. He was Jose Toda. Yeah, he was supposed to be Ted, but he wasn't. He was my daddy. He raised me in my early childhood. He insisted that I be baptized in the Mormon church when I was too young. I think I was 6 or 7 or something, and the age is 9, or I don't know. I haven't looked all this stuff up ahead of time. And this is the book I just dropped. This is my other daddy. Well, I call him Dad. Daisaku Ikeda. He recently passed away. Again, it's another situation where he was standing in for me. Yeah, he was my genetic father. I say I co-founded and co-planned and the SGI, which is the International Buddhist Organization, I guess World Peace Organization, that he was known as the president of after he was forced to resign as the Soka Gakkai president in 1979 when High Priest Nitatsu was killed. That's when I became High Priestess. I was just a little American girl here in America, living in Connecticut. No, I was not living in Connecticut. I was living in Princeton, New Jersey. And when that happened, I was 13, 7th grade. I had no idea, no memory. You know, my family obliterated all my memories. So it took like a whole lifetime to remember everything for myself. So Daisaku Ikeda is another one of my genetic fathers. I know, it sounds really weird. Yeah, science fiction readers, yes, you're involved too, okay? You'll very much enjoy my channel as well, because my life is like science fiction, fantasy, fiction in general. Buddhism Day by Day. This is another book I brought out just to introduce you to my channel, because I'm the High Priestess and the other SGI president, who now that my genetic father has passed away, it's me who received well, I've always had the baton in my hand, and maybe now is the time for me to run with it. Oh, and yeah, you can see how long it's been since I've read this. This is from the Writings of Nichiren Daishonin. It's one of my one of those calendars, those daily calendars. And it's the last time I turned the page on the calendar, it was December 19th. It's pretty sad. And today is, what's today? February 7th, I believe, 2024. That's pretty sad. I haven't been keeping up with my reading of the Writings of Nichiren Daishonin, and I've been kind of overwhelmed. We had a death in the family. My brother-in-law, Jin, just died on January 13th. We took care of him in our home. He was very disabled mentally and physically, and required like 24/7 nursing care, and it was very difficult taking care of him, both him and Elizabeth, another person I took care of in my home, who is almost 93 now. She's now I placed her in a nursing home. It's interesting. He died on January 13th, and she was scheduled to be moved to a nursing home on the 15th, which was that Monday. He died on Saturday. She went to a nursing home on Monday, and so my life kind of changed overnight, giving me a lot of time to get done things that I needed to work on. There's always something that I have to do, and I'm still her guardian and conservator. I have a lot of paperwork to handle with that that I'm putting off. We had to clean out our backyard, and I had to get rid of my vehicle because we got a 10-day notice on our property. We're still doing that. Oh, it's just never ending, all that I have to do. But I felt this was urgent. This channel needed to be now, not later. Okay, so, that's just a taste, a flavor of what I have to offer that is unique and exciting on this channel. Next question. Okay, so what am I most excited about for this channel? I'm excited to be able to present my thoughts and my life in a format that is consumed and appreciated on YouTube and other platforms. It's been a challenge to know how to present my life and my story. I'm a writer as well. I look forward to publishing my story at some point. I've begun so many times. I have so many stories, and it's hard to even know what story to lead with. What challenges with starting a booktube channel would I have to overcome? Like, what would be the hardest challenges I would have, to overcome for this channel? Being consistent, and I know you hear this a lot. That is my biggest thing. I get discouraged. I have big visions in my head, and nothing turns out anywhere near what I envision in my head. And, you know, you make a video and you hope people enjoy it and watch it, but when you don't get as many viewers or your video is not promoted to the masses as you would like, you know, the algorithm just like has its own little technique of deciding how far it pushes out your video, it gets discouraging. I know that there are a lot of people on this platform, but I would just think that my story would be unique enough that the algorithm would want to push it out a little further than usual. I mean, I've been on YouTube for a while in different forms, and the algorithm is familiar with me. And here I am saying, okay, I'm picking this niche, this genre, this, you know, and I think it is very compatible with my wild, unbelievable life story. You know, readers of fiction, readers of science fiction, readers of fantasy might be able to embrace me better than anyone else. But yeah, I give up too easily, and I'm determined to not give up and allow this to be my consistent routine, because I suffer when I don't put my story out there. I suffer greatly, and I don't want to suffer anymore. I am a public figure that nobody knows the identity of, and I was born for this, and it's tormenting to keep everything from the public. It's a torment to be kept a secret and to not put myself out there. So I'm gonna commit to putting myself out in the world in this format, and I hope you enjoy what I have to offer. The challenge is, you know, people not taking me seriously, thinking I'm making it up, thinking I'm crazy, whatever. Well, I think readers, you know, avid readers can suspend judgment better than anyone else in our population. You know, readers of fiction can just put aside the judgment and imagine, right? Imagine if what I say is true. Just imagine. Think of me as a book, in motion, a living piece of literature. Just think of me that way and enjoy. You know, you don't have to believe that it's true. Just enjoy the storyline and the plot and the twists and the turns, and, you know, just embrace it as it is. It doesn't have to be true in your mind for it to be true in reality, even if you don't see that reality quite yet. What do I love about reading? I love information. I do read a lot of nonfiction, yes, and I don't read enough fiction. But I should mention, and I don't have the book out here, but this daily wisdom from the writings of Nichiren Daishonin, I'll have you know that the writings of Nichiren Daishonin is a brilliant piece of fiction. It is not nonfiction. And I know that the Japanese government and the Japanese people in history, you know, Nichiren Daishonin is in history, but it's my understanding, and I've been given top secret information, okay, over the years, you know, since I was a little baby. Jose Toda told me himself that the Japanese government wanted to compete with this new religion called Christianity, and so they had to create their own Jesus. You know, of course, Nichiren Buddhism is very different from Christianity, but they had to create their own version of Jesus in Japan to put themselves on the map to compete with Christianity in the West. And that's what Nichiren Daishonin and the writings of Nichiren Daishonin were all about. He was not a real person. He was placed in history by the Japanese government, and a priesthood was put together, and, you know, it was all rigged and faked. It can be done, okay? And I won't get into all the Nichiren Buddhist stories, but basically there's two different groups. There used to be one group, Nichiren Shoshu, and Sokogokai was the lay organization in Japan. But then in 1991, I filed for divorce on the day And the next morning, as soon as the sun rose in Japan, Niken, my grandpa, my genetic grandpa, and I knew him growing up as a young child, he excommunicated the entire SGI, what is now the SGI. It was Nichiren Shoshu, and they had to scramble to form their own organization. And of course, Niken thought everybody would go to him, and no, that's not what happened. They stayed with the Sokokukai in Japan, who reformed and became SGI USA. I mean, SGI. And each organization is named after the country, like SGI USA is the one in America. And I'm the person who organized that and behind the scenes. In 1974, I was an 8-year-old girl, and I spent the whole summer of 74 planning it and creating the writings and everything, and then my father went to Guam and was voted I'm talking about my genetic father, Daisaku Ikeda, went to Guam, and everybody voted him the president, and I became the unknown other SGI president when he was nominated the president, because he was my father. He was senior, and of course, little 8-year-old American girl wasn't really a suitable poster person for Nichiren Buddhism, right? Because it's from Japan, and back in those days, men were very dominating, and little girls weren't really respected. They're still not really respected, are they? But more so today than in the past. And now this little girl is a 58-year-old woman who's waited her whole life to have a life. So I look forward to taking my place in Nichiren Buddhism as well as in world culture publicly, not behind the scenes and hidden away any longer. All right, let's get to the next question. Yeah, I guess I didn't really fully answer that question. What do I love about reading? I love information, but yes, I do love fiction. I guess my life is just better than fiction. And so I just focus on telling my life story. I study what public information is about other certain topics, and I'm heavily fixated on nonfiction, but I really look forward to discovering new works of fiction and maybe comparing my real life to those works of fiction and helping fiction readers appreciate what is my true life story. I enjoy really good writing, concise, clear writing. I love good writing. You don't find it everywhere, and I adore it. When I find clarity in writing, I love it. I can't get enough of it. So, fiction, here I come. Okay, what book or series got me into reading? Well, let me start with Daddy, Jose Toda. He and I wrote Harry Potter together. Well, he wrote it. I was a little baby and a little girl who helped him. That's why Harry Potter gets better and better. I think the Half-Blood Prince is my favorite, but it got better and better because I was able to contribute more and more as I got older and more mature. We always spoke in Japanese. I was, my first language was Japanese. I was very like native Japanese. It wasn't Americanized Japanese. It was full native Japanese, and I was very eloquent as a young child. I co-wrote a lot of songs and everything with Daddy. We are the true identity of Lennon McCartney. I'm McCartney, and Daddy's Lennon. That's who we chose to be. Yeah, there's so many stories. I can't even get into all of it. Michael Jackson married me to buy my half of the Beatles catalog in 1983 when I turned 18 because my mother failed to take me to the bank as she promised the executor of my grandmother's estate, Ross Dryblot. And then when Daddy died, right after I got married in 1985, he died on October 12, 1985, which is the reverse of my birthday, which is October 21st. I inherited his half, which was the better half, is what I understand. Just a sampling. So, I always think of Harry Potter, and, I know, was it J.K. Rowling's, is the woman who supposedly wrote it, and yeah, that's Daddy in disguise. Open your minds, fantasy readers, science fiction readers, please. And a lot of what's in Harry Potter is true. It's told in a different way, true in a different way than is explained in Harry Potter. But if you can embrace Harry Potter, you can embrace my life, because I'm supposed to be I am Harry Potter. Okay, I'm a woman, I'm a girl. I'm not a boy, because the world wasn't ready for a girl when he wrote it, Daddy and us, and I helped him. I had to be a boy until the world was ready for a girl. Hermione was kind of fashioned after my personality in a way. But, you know, the things that I read as a young child, it was, you know, Dr. Seuss, of course, that's Daddy, by the way. And where, are you my mommy? Isn't that a Dr. Seuss? Or I think that's somebody else. Are you my mommy? Are you my mommy? A little bird, you know, trying to find his mommy, going to the tractor in the junkyard. Are you my mommy? And that really is kind of like my life, trying to find my daddy, trying to find my, you know, the real people in my life story, you know. It really is my life story in real life, where the wild things live. Is that what it's called? Pippi Longstocking. She was a real role model for me. I actually became homeless for many years, and she was in my psyche, you know, from reading her books. She was pretty innovative for her time. And who else? You know, Nancy Drew. Those were the main ones. I mean, there were so many, but those are the ones that stand out right now. And I've always been reading. I was first able to speak clearly in Japanese at age 6 months, and I was reading and writing in Japanese and in American English very early on, before I ever even ended up in nursery school or kindergarten. So I couldn't really give you an exact age that I started reading. You know, I was being read to and learning how to read as I was being read to in both English and in Japanese. And the Quran was read to me when I was a baby, and I was fluent in Arabic, right? The entire Quran was read to me by an old lady who was my babysitter in the Middle East. I'm thinking it was Iraq, because Daddy worked in the CIA. You know, 007 is like a character, James Bond, that he fashioned after himself. Of course, it's like a glorified version of himself. And so I was with him on all his world travels. Yeah, so the Quran had an effect on me as well as a very young baby. And I spoke fluent Arabic with my cousin Osama bin Laden. And my triplet brother actually resembles Osama bin Laden, by the way, my full triplet brother. All right, samples. Yeah, these are just samplings of my life, okay, and why I'm unique to BookTube, and subscribe and watch my videos, okay? When did I start reading? I think I answered that. Where do I read? I read everywhere. I guess I haven't been reading enough. Okay, in recent years, I like a nice, comfortable chair. I have a nice, comfortable place on the sofa in our living room. There, you know, Jean used, you know, my brother-in-law used to sit in a really wonderful chair that I used to read in, and I love reading in that chair. It's in the living room also. There's also a wonderful overstuffed recliner in the den where Elizabeth used to live, and it's now my office, and I love reading in that chair too. It's really comfortable. I don't really read before bed. Usually when I go to bed, I'm like already about to conk out. I'm usually reading somewhere else besides bed, because in bed I'm just ready to go to sleep. Our bedroom is not really set up either. Don't really have my nightlight going. I read anywhere. You know, I love going to cafes and reading, and love reading in bookstores. I can just zone everything out, you know, just go into my zone, my reading zone, and I can be anywhere where it's really noisy and everything. If I get absorbed in my book. But I haven't read recently enough, and that's another reason why I started this channel. I want to consistently read. I want that joy of reading back in my life again. Reading is joy, and I deserve joy. I'm just trying to find the last couple questions. I know one of the questions was, what is your question to your favorite booktubers? Well, I guess I really, oh look, there's an Elantra. Yeah, Brian Koberger, I have a link to him. He's a disguise, by the way, and his true identity is actually almost 7. Oh, is he? Yeah, he's about to turn 70, the big 7-0 on the 11th. Is it the 11th yet? No, not quite. That's in 3 days. His real identity is David Wayne Craig. I met him in 75. Yeah, he's one of my genetic fathers. I know, so wild. But if you're into science fiction, fantasy, fiction in general, embrace. Okay, but the question was, what questions do I have for my favorite booktubers? I guess what I would ask is how they read so much. You know, some of these people, they read so many books per year. I mean, I can't even imagine. I'm a slow reader. Okay, I like to savor my books. And when I really get into a book, I read faster than I know how. I do. I read faster than I think. I say I'm a slow reader, but when I'm really into what I'm reading, I read really a lot faster than I think. But I think compared to all these booktubers, I think I'm really slow in my reading. And so expect videos, deep dive videos, you know. I mean, I don't want to give away the ending or anything or be a spoiler, but I really like to think about books and talk about them. And I used to talk to Daddy about books and my thoughts, and Ross too, later on in my childhood. So it'll really bring me back to my roots. This booktube channel, I'll figure it out as I go, but I just want to know how they're so consistent in their reading, like how they've made reading a part of their life. You know, I always think that everything has to be perfect for me to sit down and read a book. Sometimes I think, oh, I don't have time for that. I've got to get this done, that done. Oh, that's a luxury. I think of reading as a luxury. No, it's a joy. It's not a luxury, it's a joy. If you want joy in life, it's important that you make time. It's self-care, you know, that's how I see it. And that's something I need to do more of for myself. I recently was reminded that I'm a transmuter. I have a lot of psychic abilities, and I'm a healer, by the way. Transmuters, which means that you're like a filter for everybody around you. You make everybody feel better, and you don't even realize what you're doing. It just happens. You got to keep your energy up, and you got to do a lot of self-care when you're a transmuter. And I put myself last. I'm always putting others ahead of me, and I got to get this done. I'm always like putting out fires and reacting to the world because I got to survive. I'm always in survival mode, and I just want to stop with that. And it's such a bad habit. Yeah, that's how I've survived up until now, but I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive and have joy at all times. And one of my greatest joys is reading, and so this channel is going to force me to have joy again. It's pretty emotional for me, Next question, what books do you like to read? I like to read everything, but I told you I've been reading a lot of fiction in recent years I'm really into information, but I know how much joy fiction will give me, and so I want to really discover the joy of fiction. I'm always gonna have nonfiction surrounding me, and I am nonfiction, even if I seem like fiction, my life, I'm talking about, but I think I have a lot in common with fiction, even if I am nonfiction. So expect me to dive into a lot of fiction. It'll be probably 50-50. And all genres. I have a very traumatic past, so, murders, I'm an expert on serial killers, so yeah, I think a good murder would be good here and there, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. I like to solve cases. Yeah, I don't tend to gravitate towards mysteries, but I am a mystery, so I think I should open my mind to that world. I like life stories, because I'm a life story. I'm open to everything. Anything that's well written and makes me laugh and makes me cry. Anything moving. That's what I want to read. Give me your suggestions down in the comments, please. And last question, what does my book collection look like? Okay, I love to go to, my husband in particular, though, likes to go to Goodwill, and whenever I'm there, what do I pick up? I pick up books for $1, $1.50, 75 cents. I can't resist, okay? And then I go to the library, and they have a free books, that you can take. And so I take a lot of books because I love books, and I just have a lot of books I haven't read on my shelf. A lot of the things that the library has gotten rid of are political books. There's a lot of, I have a lot of books on politicians that are no longer as much in the public eye, and so I guess the public library has gotten rid of them. Got them all for free. They're all on my bookshelf though. Yeah, I have too many books, but I have a hard time purging and getting rid of them, and I know that's something that I will have to do. I just hate not reading them first, and yeah, I guess once I've read them and I've decided whether they mean something to me or not, I'll just decide then. But yeah, I didn't really plan my collection. There are some that I planned. I bought the whole Harry Potter series. I bought LL Tolkien. I don't know. Token, that's Daddy too. I've bought some things. Of course, I bought Brittany and Spare and others. There are self-help books and inspirational books I've bought and I haven't read. I haven't read them. I don't read my Nichiren Buddhist reading material, and I'd like to use this platform to do that and study it with you. It just gives me a mission, you know. I mean, me just hanging out at my house waiting for the world to discover who I am, or, you know, waiting for the news of Claire to hit the airwaves doesn't really help me, you know. It really will help for me to come out here and start performing my mission. I just got a little notification and I owe money to Public Storage. It's just been really hard because I just have to survive. I don't have the money to survive. You know, I don't have access to my fortune, nothing. Everybody else gets payouts on my fortune and I get nothing, and I just survive. And I guess that's been my focus. My focus has been to get my money, and it's not worked out thus far. And I'm 58 years old going on 59, and I'm just really frustrated with my life, and I'm hoping that this channel will help ease the pain that is my life and bring back the joy that should be mine, and hopefully introduce me to the world so I get my life and get what I deserve. And let it be. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to reading and talking and studying everything with you. I'm a mishmash of so many things all in one package. Look forward to sharing with you all that I have to offer.